What's up, family, friends, and associates? Welcome to this edition of the Levels of Love podcast, where we examine the great divide that's been manufactured in man-woman relationships and strategies on how to rectify and correct that divide. I'm your gracious host, the Stormy Poet, and I'm glad y'all could join me on today. The beautiful family, very glad to be with you all. From podcast land, how's everybody doing out there? Fantastic, I hope, no matter where you're at. What you're doing, hope you're doing it big. Welcome to this podcast, and as I always like to do at the beginning of every podcast, I like to give my little PSA, if you will. And I like to do this, and those who heard my past podcast, you know what I'm talking about, but I think I should explain why I like to do this. But I basically like to just extend a helping hand to anybody out there who's going through something, mental health wise or emotionally. I'm well versed in a lot of that stuff, man. I know a lot of things. I'm not a licensed counselor by any stretch of the imagination, but I know a lot about that area. I've dealt with it in the past myself. I've had family members who've dealt with it. And if I'm covering relationships, that's a huge part of relationships, because relationships obviously have a big effect on us emotionally. And if you're already in a certain kind of state, and you go through something in your relationship, man, it's going to have a profound impact on you. So I always like to open up the program by just letting anybody know and just extending a helping hand. If you're going through anything, feel free to reach out to me with any questions you might have. Or, a lot of the times people just need somebody to talk to, just to kind of process things. They don't even necessarily need any counseling per se, but just somebody to listen to them, man. I'll be that for sure. So if that is you, feel free to reach out to me. If I can't help you, then I can get you to the people who can. Luckily, I got friends in that particular field that can help with that. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. And with your relationship questions, of course, you can either reach out to me at thelevelsoflove@gmail.com or tsp@thestormypoet.com. Either one of those is good for me. And, of course, this edition of the Levels of Love podcast is brought to you by rootofallove.com. That's where you can see my written pieces on the matter, on the things that I cover on the podcast. And I wanted to do a written component because I wanted people to have the hyperlinks and stuff in there so they could do further research. And so I could back up my claims with, evidence, with data and studies and things like that. So check out my work on there. Also, my literary artwork related to the topic is on there as well. I am a writer, first and foremost. That's how I got kind of started in the whole podcast thing, is through writing and publishing. So feel free to check out my stuff over there. You're welcome to join us. Anywho, with the greetings out of the way and all that stuff, I wanted to share something that cracked me the hell up that I saw, and I wanted to share with y'all. I was looking through my little Google News the other day, man. And I like Google News because you can kind of set the parameters on the type of material that you want to get. That way you're just not getting bombarded with a bunch of just random topics. And I like to set my news settings to only show me certain stories and certain headlines and things like that. And on my Google, for the address I just gave you, I have it set to tell me about things related to relationships, because I'm trying to always keep my pulse on the dating world. I'm trying to keep my finger on the pulse of the dating world, and I'm trying to always check the temperature to see what's going on so I can give the family constructive information. But I came across this story, man. I was half asleep when I'm just scrolling through my phone. And it's by NBC, or CNBC rather, and it cracked me the heck up, man. I saw the headline. And the headline said, he paid for the first date. When she didn't want a second, he asked for his money back. It's about this guy and this lady. They met up on a dating app, and the dude and her went on a date. They went to, I think it was some type of bar or something like that. And he paid for it or whatever. And, she kind of expressed, this ain't really, I don't really have any further interest in you. I'm going to kind of keep it pushing. He's like, well, you going to refund me for that date we went on then? It says, Samantha Costanza went on a first date with the man she'd met on the dating app in January 2022. They got to know each other as they sipped on hot cider because of the cold at the Brooklyn, New York bar where they agreed to meet. When it was time to pay for the drinks, Costanza's date handed his credit card to the bartender. A few days later, he messaged that he'd like to see her again. Costanza didn't feel the same. I spent over, and this is her quoting, it, quote, I spent over an hour crafting a very polite reply that assured him I had a lovely time, but just did not see a future connection, said Costanza, 29, a customer operations analyst. This is the part that had me chuckling. And it says, in response, the man asked Costanza if she would Venmo him back payment for her drinks. Dude, that is... Oh, gosh. No, I'm sorry. That cracked me up. That has just kind of butthurt written all over it. But I see where he's coming from. Believe it or not. I see where the dude is coming from to a degree. And then it goes on to say, I was in complete shock, she said. It made it seem like the only reason he would offer to pay for my drinks was that he expected something from me. Yeah, so... Fellas, that's why I always say, and it sounds like they didn't go anywhere too terribly expensive. It sounds like that's all he got was some drinks. And again, I kind of feel the dude to a degree because it's like, man, you're investing your time and energy and money into getting to know somebody, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're the one who's setting things up and taking the initiative. You're trying to make a connection. You're putting in the, you're putting yourself out there and you're putting in the effort to make that connection. You're willing to put yourself on the line, and it really wasn't about the money, to be honest with you, man. I feel where he's coming from is he basically is saying, where he's basically coming from is, man, after about 50 times of that happening, especially in this kind of dating climate, after a gazillion times of that happening, it starts getting kind of old, and some dudes get kind of fed up. They're like, I'm investing time and I'm putting resources into it. And granted, drinks ain't really gonna break the bank in no day. Like, that's why I said it's not about the money. It was about basically he felt like his time was wasted. He wants some compensation for the most part. That's really what it boils down to. And that's the thing about, dating nowadays is, yeah, it kind of goes like that sometimes. And I imagine they had been talking extensively before that, trying to set the date up and everything like that. Because that sounds like that dude had, stock invested in that. Poor thing. And this is why I tell fellas, man, on the first date, it's all about, I don't go anywhere like... I don't spend a whole bunch of money like that because, man, this can happen, man. You put your time and resources in it. And, she could just hit you with I'm not feeling the connection. Y'all been talking for X amount of time. Y'all finally agree to meet up, whoop-de-woo. And you investing all this stuff all the stock into it. And, that could happen. That's why on my first dates, man, I just like to meet up at Starbucks. We have a little espresso or whatever, a little cappuccino, and we just chop up game. And, we just kind of have a conversation like we just two people meeting, just talking about life, man. I really don't put a bunch of stock into it like that because I know this kind of thing can happen, man. On the first date, man, you just show up and you're just being yourself, man. You're just sitting there talking like you were talking with, and you are talking with a random stranger. I was going to say like you're talking with a random stranger, like you're just making conversation, but you're just talking about life, man. I don't really put all that. You got to ask the right questions the first time meeting or anything like that. It's just got to kind of flow. You do not spend a lot of money on the first date, man. I keep it at probably at the most like $10, man. Because you really just, the first date is just basically trying to set up the second date. And even on the second date, man, when you start getting to know them a lot better, you start asking more personal questions and stuff like that and getting to know somebody on that level. Even then, you ain't really supposed to be dropping a lot of money like that, man, because they're getting to know you for you, not about the experiences that you can provide them. And if at all possible, after the first date, you try to get them to come to your place. You invite them to your place so that you can control the environment. You can control, what y'all eat. Me personally, I like to, on the second date, I try to do it on the first date, but on the second date especially, man, I like inviting them to the crib. That way we ain't got to worry about meeting at the right place and directions and all that. And, we don't got to worry, you don't got to worry about it being too cold in there, too loud. I really don't like going on restaurant dates, man, because it's so loud. You can't really get to know each other. You can't really chop it up. I try to get them to the crib so we can sit on the couch and, I can cook, man. I can cook my ass off. I'll cook and we can sit there and just chill, man, and really get to know each other in a private setting. That's the way dating's supposed to go. But all that said, don't end up like this dude. He said, Venmo me back the money. Damn. In any case, no, I just had to share that. That cracked me up, man. But what I wanted to talk about on this podcast, tonight's podcast, is 6 signs that she's cheating. This one's for the fellas. Now, last week I did one for the ladies, which was 5 signs that he's cheating. So now I'm going to give the fellas some red flags to watch out for in terms of the women cheating, because women can be a little bit more crafty, or should I say, the way that they cheat is a little less noticeable than how men cheat, because men primarily it's a physical thing. Very rarely is it a emotional thing. Even if we are stepping outside the relationship, even if we are vibing with the other person, like let's say that person just has really cool conversation, man. They're presenting a kind of characteristic that our woman isn't giving us. Even then, we can kind of compartmentalize it. All right, this is just for entertainment for the most part. Now, with the way women cheat, and I'm sure you've all probably heard this before, is women cheat more emotionally before they ever cheat with somebody physically, or cheat on somebody physically, rather. They cheat emotionally long before that. So when they actually commit the act of doing something physically, man, they've already committed the cheating in their heart a long time before that. So that goes more undetected, because in order to cheat physically, you got to actually go where the person's at. You actually got to meet up in secret. You actually have more things to hide. Emotion is a little bit different. You can kind of keep that under wraps a little bit. You feel me? Because you can relegate that to just if you're interacting with that person on a regular basis. So it's not that women are, quote, better at cheating, and that often gets tossed around. Excuse me. It's just that it's more subtle in the beginning until it can't be no more. So what I wanted to do is give some signs that your lady may be being unfaithful. And these are in no particular order, by the way. There's a couple of that kind of stand out. There's a couple that really kind of that are real big red flags, but these are in no particular order of importance. Now, the first sign to know if a woman's being unfaithful is she stops taking an interest in the things that you're passionate about. And the reason I say that is because when a woman's into you, when a woman's really feeling you like that, let's say you're in a relationship, in a committed relationship, and she's really feeling you and really into you, basically a woman wants to absorb herself in your world. And I mentioned that briefly on the last program that I did. The book by Barbara DeAngelis talks about that. And the book that I'm referring to, and I refer to it a lot, is What Women Want Men to Know, man. Fellas, if you've not read that book, that she breaks down a whole lot of things about women that, often confuses us. I highly recommend that book, man. I've read it a couple of times, man. That was an eye-opener. Some of the information is a little bit antiquated, but for the most part, it's on point because she wrote it back in like I want to say the mid 90s. So it's a little bit, some of it's a little bit antiquated, but for the most part, man, she hits the nail on the head with a lot of stuff. But basically, when a woman is feeling you, she wants to be wrapped up in your world, man. She wants to be absorbed in it. She wants to be immersed in it. She wants to learn about all the things that you're passionate about, and she wants to incorporate herself into you doing those passions. She wants to be a part of it. Because women like making memories. Women love making memories. They love organizing memories. They love scheduling opportunities to create memories. So she's going to want to do those things with you if she's really feeling you. That shows that she's committed because she's committing herself to you as a woman. She's saying, I want to create these memories with you. These are things I want to look back on when I'm old or when our kids get grown that they can look at. That's part of a woman's commitment to you is demonstrating that. And when a woman is feeling you, she admires you. She looks up to you with actual reverence, man. That's real talk. You can see it in her eyes. She respects you. She looks up to you. When that goes out the window, fellas, that's a big red flag, man. If she loses that reverence, if she loses that admiration for you, and if she stops wanting to make those memories, just kind of out of the blue or even gradually, but she's not making an effort to do that anymore, then that's showing you that's basically a red flag showing that her commitment is not exclusively to you anymore. That's probably, and I said this is in no particular order. Look, I'm contradicting myself, but I'll say that this is one of the bigger ones to watch out for. And a lot of fellas, they can sense when this happens. It's just a lot of, and they can kind of sense it and they can kind of feel it because the woman's not going to come out and tell you, I don't have no respect for you anymore. Or I don't want to make memories with you anymore. Or I don't want to absorb myself in your world anymore. A lot of men know that. Like, for instance, an example of that is of her wanting to kind of just wrap you around her and be immersed in that world is when a woman takes your clothes and starts wearing them. That's a real good example to give. I should have gave that earlier, but it just kind of came to my mind. When a woman's really feeling you, your shirts end up missing. You feel me? All my dudes out there know who are with their ladies. They understand. You got to kind of pay that girlfriend tax every now and then. Every now and then, your shirt's going to end up missing. Like with my lady, man, it's about probably 4 or 5 shirts that ended up at her crib. And it's not shirts I wore over there. It's not shirts that I wore over there, shirts that I wore over there. A pair I wore over there and I left it there. No, she's come over before, and so when she's spending the night or whatever, she puts my clothes on. She puts my shirt on. And they do that because they want, the smell of you to be with them and all that stuff. But basically, that's them trying to wrap themselves up in you. And again, that book talks about that. If she stops doing or making intimate displays like that, displays that she wants to be involved in your world and that she's making an effort to do that, or those kind of signs of affection, those are red flags, fellas. And like I said, a lot of men can kind of sense that when a woman's kind of lost that admiration for him, and they know that, but they ignore it because they don't want to accept the reality of things. See, we as men have to get it out of our heads that women don't have a savage side to them. And, we grow up thinking, women are daffodils and, they're super fragile and you got to be extra careful, right? Handle with care, and that they can't be ruthless. We got to start understanding women can be absolutely ruthless and they can flip it on like a switch. Women can be absolutely heartless, and we don't like accepting that because we think that kind of behavior is exclusive to the men, and it's not. Women can do you just as dirty as a man can do a woman, for sure. And it's important that you go in every romantic situation understanding that that could be a possibility. You have to accept that as a reality, man. You can't go in naive. Forget about what you saw in the movies. Forget about what your parents might have gave you some bad information. Now, women have that savage side too. So understand, and I'm talking about the little nerdy girls with the glasses. I'm talking about the little poly purebreds, the little librarian chicks. I'm talking about all women have this. She could be the sweetest, shyest, just most reserved woman. Even she has this in them. Women have that in that. They have that trait in them too, to go out and cheat, man. And we gotta be realistic about that. We can't approach relationships from a position of naivete. It's real talk. Now, the second sign that your lady is being unfaithful is when she, and this kind of goes along with the number three, but I'll get to that one. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But the second sign is she starts gushing about the accomplishments or good traits about other men. And women used to do this to me when I was younger. When I was younger and I didn't really know the game like I do now, I used to get that a lot. And I'm even when I was younger, I'm not a hater. If a dude deserves his props or anybody deserves props, I'm going to give them props. But if your lady starts doing it a little bit too much, like y'all are watching y'all watching sports together or something like that, and you're like, man, I really like so and so. I really like he's been playing for us really good this year. I watch a lot of baseball, so I'm gonna use a baseball analogy, but his ERA is looking really good. He can really pitch. He's lights out, man. I really like this guy, man. He's good on the team. Yeah, I really like him. And she kind of interjects and is like, yeah, I really like him too. And he's such a good player. And he's been with the team for so long. And I really like his work ethic. And he's really inspiring. And she just keeps going on and on and on. This is a little bit too much, like way more than what you said about that individual. And she just keeps going on and on, or it happens very frequently. She keeps bringing up other guys. Yeah, I heard that new invention that one doctor made, and he's just so inspiring. That guy's really awesome, man. I really look up to him, and every so often it's just she starts gushing about other men. That's a red flag right there too. Because on a subconscious level, what she's saying to you is, why can't you be more like that guy? And again, don't be a hater. If you're like, let's say your woman has like a favorite artist. I really like this artist or whatever. I like his music. He's a cool artist. And she just says it and leaves it at that. That's different. Don't be a hater. Why you compliment that nigga on his music? Like, don't be that dude. But if it constantly keeps reoccurring, that's a red flag. Especially if she starts doing that out of nowhere. Because what she's doing, if she does that excessively, is she's projecting the qualities of someone that she knows onto that player, and she's trying to express that, or player, I said player, but onto that person, and she's trying to express her desires for that person while making it seem innocent. Because we as human beings, man, we have an innate, deep desire to express our truths about how we're feeling, about what we're going through. We can only hide things for so long, and it becomes very taxing to try to hide strong feelings about something over time. So you need an outlet, and so a lot of the times women will do is they'll project those qualities that they're feeling about somebody that they know on something like a celebrity or something like that, and that way they can express themselves without actually giving props to the dude that they're really feeling outside of the relationship. Women do stuff like that. So that's definitely something you want to look out for. If she starts being a little bit too complimentary of somebody that's not you, I'll put it like this. If she's complimenting a random strangers that don't even know her more than she compliments you, more than she shows reverence to you, if she's never expressed that way, express that kind of reverence to you in that way and doesn't do it frequently, but she's doing it more so with people who are not even in a relationship, then that's a major red flag. And you check that, fellas. Don't let that go unchecked. Real talk, because on the same token, if you were doing that with a female, she would have a problem with that. If you started saying, "Oh, I love Beyonce, just the way she performs, and she's such a cool chick, and I bet you she's a good woman to Jay-Z, and look how feminine she is," man, she would have a problem with that. So don't let that go unchecked, fellas, and definitely recognize that as a red flag. Now, number 3, I said, kind of goes with number 2. It's kind of related to it. But number 3 is she starts challenging you on everything. That's the third sign. She starts challenging your judgment on things. If you notice that all of a sudden she's questioning you on literally everything, she's kind of questioning you on stuff that you don't even need to be questioned on. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. So let's say y'all start having a conversation about the night that y'all first got it in, so to speak. And she just asks you a question, "Babe, what was that restaurant we went to the first night that we had sex or whatever? The leading up to that. What was that restaurant?" You're like, "Oh, babe, it was P.F. Chang's." "Nah, I don't think it was P.F. Chang's. Are you sure it's P.F. Chang's?" You're like, "Nah, I remember it was P.F. Chang's. I got this dish. I remember where we were at. It was the one over in Fort Worth or whatever." And she starts questioning you on little crap like that, and you for sure without a shadow of a doubt that what you're talking about is fact. That can be a red flag if it's all the time. Now, a lot of the times, it could just be a simple case of her not remembering. But if she does stuff like that, and then, or she asks you, "Hey, does this color look good on me?" You're like, "Yeah, baby, it looks good on you." "Oh, you're just saying that." Like, whoa, no, I meant that. "No, you're just saying that." And it's like, well, why did you ask me if you don't trust my judgment? If she's constantly questioning your judgment like that and challenging you on everything, on a subconscious level, she's challenging your authority. She's challenging your authority. Questioning your judgment is challenging your authority. That's basically saying she doesn't think that you're competent enough to make concise and decisive decisions. That's really what that is. And as men, we have a need to be seen as leaders. We have a need to be seen as leaders who can lead our loved ones and the people we care about in the right direction. And we need to be seen as decisive and as masculine and as leadership material. That's very important to us as men. So basically, she's in essence questioning the very thing that composes or that you're composed of as a man. She's questioning that, which is a real big sign of disrespect. I wouldn't say it's the ultimate, but it's very disrespectful to do that. Like, for instance, if your woman is put on a little bit of weight or whatever, and she's like, "I'm so fat and I'm so hideous" and everything like that, and you tell her, "No, babe, you look fine. It's just everybody gains a little bit of weight. That's life. Things happen, man. Just as long as you're healthy and you're taking care of your health and you're eating right and you're making an effort, that's really what matters." And she says something real slick like, "Oh, you're just saying that because you're with me," or she's like, "No, babe, I am fat." And you're like, "I just told you look fine." "Nah, I am fat. I don't look that good no more, and I'm falling off." Now, to a lot of fellas, that might seem like you're being the supportive mate by telling her, that you're being the nice guy by telling her, "Oh, you look all right," and everything like that. And you might see it as, well, she'll actually appreciate you for that because you supported her in her time of doubt or whatever. That's actually not the case. When a woman tells you, that she's unattractive and you say, "No, I'm still attracted to you," and then she tells you, "No, I'm not attractive," again, that's challenging your judgment. It doesn't look like that, But that's what that is. That's basically saying you don't have enough, you don't have proper judgment as a man to know what's attractive or not. That's actually an insult to you. She's actually insulting you when she does that. Excuse me. Most of the times it's on a subconscious level that she's doing that. But really, that's what she's doing. She's questioning your judgment. She's saying your judgment isn't good enough. Your opinion about me isn't good enough. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you that your judgment is not up to par. And another thing that this does, another thing that she accomplishes by doing this, and whether she's doing it consciously or subconsciously, that's up for debate. It depends on the woman. Another thing she's doing in that regard, and this is why this is another red flag that you got to watch out for. This is a two-faceted sign. The reason she's doing that is because she's trying to basically make you think she's not as attractive anymore, so that you won't be attracted to her anymore, so that when she does eventually go and leave you for the other guy, when she inevitably makes that choice, she'll feel a little bit better about it, or she'll feel like she helped cushion the blow. Now, what do I mean by that? She thinks she's convincing you that she's not that attractive so that you'll want to leave her. Now, in the last podcast, I mentioned dudes, basically just picking fights with women, just random fights. And this is kind of related to that. That's why I said in the last podcast, the way that women do this is a little bit different. They don't necessarily pick fights, but what they do is they question your judgment, which is very disrespectful. And what she's trying to do is convince you that she's ugly and unattractive and undesirable. And she's trying to get you to fall out with her so that, she can have an excuse to go be with the dude she's got eyes on. It's a real twisted psychological thing, but based on my study of me being a student of human behavior, I've noticed that. It's a real kind of complicated dynamic. But always be wary when your woman starts questioning your judgment. Always check her on that. Be like, look here, if you don't trust my judgment, then I'm not the dude you need to be with. Hey, look, I said I'm still attracted to you. And that's enough. I don't got to sit here and explain myself. I said how I feel. You can say whatever you want. You check on that. And in a lot of cases, women are looking for you to check them on that type of stuff, man. Sometimes women start looking outside the relationship because they want that guy that takes authority, that can assume that leadership role, and that can put her in her place. A lot of the times they're just looking for their dude to do that. A lot of times if you check them on certain stuff, man, they'll be like, all right, this is not that dude to mess around with. I was looking for that all along. I'm not really interested in anybody else anymore like that. So always check that, fellas. Now, the fourth sign is she suddenly wants to get in shape / they make sudden major alterations to their body. Now, it's one thing if your woman came in the relationship and she just kind of always was fit. She always was health conscious, or, always wanted to learn more about how to take care of herself, which is what you should look for in a woman, because essentially if you have kids with her, she's going to pass those habits down to the family. Now, it's different if she was on that when you came in the relationship and then, she kind of fell off for a little bit and she's like, hey, I've been kind of slipping up. I need to get back in shape. That's different. Inevitably, in every relationship, one or both parties start getting a little pudgy, man. It is what it is. You start getting comfortable. You start having to worry about other things. You don't really got time to work out like that. You're trying to build a household together. And you get a little bit lacking on the exercise front. That's understandable. Now, if that was never really her thing and she never really expressed an interest in that, and if she is trying to get on this little weight loss kick, or she's trying to hit the gym and everything, and she's not including you and wanting to become more healthy and fit, that's a red flag right there. And the reason I say that is because if a woman just starts all of a sudden wanting to get in shape and wanting to step her game up fitness-wise, that's a woman who's getting ready to enter back into the sexual marketplace. If it just comes out of nowhere, And she all of a sudden hitting the gym, and I gotta tone my abs, and I've been doing squats to me. 9 times out of 10, she's not doing that for you, because if she was doing it for you, she would have seen you as valuable enough to be doing it for you all along. Think about that, fellas. If she hasn't expressed, hey, I want to get healthier because I want, to be here a long time for you. You know what? I want us to both get healthy. I want us to research together, and I want us to improve our eating habits together. And I'm trying to be healthy so we can be here for long. If she's not expressing it and coming from that kind of place, 9 times out of 10, she's getting ready to exit the relationship. 9 times out of 10, that's what that is, because the only reason you should be getting in shape or anything like that is because you're trying to increase your longevity. You're not trying to have health issues in the future, and you're doing it for the betterment of the relationship. You're doing it because you care about your dude, and you want to make sure you're around as long as possible to be in the relationship with that person. But yeah, if they just randomly start trying to get in shape and they get on this health kick, and I gotta get my squats in, I gotta make my ass look so, they're getting ready to bounce. Real talk. And the reason I said I added on there, they make major sudden altercations to their body. What I mean by that is if they do stuff like piercings or tattoos, especially around like the facial area, or they get like a tattoo like on their hips, or they get a tramp stamp, or they get something around their titties or something like that. Those are warning signs. If they've never really expressed an interest in that, or if you said, hey, I'm not really attracted to that, and they just all of a sudden up and do it on the fly, that's a warning sign. And the reason I say that's a warning sign is because, look, man, fellas, y'all know, we all know, let's keep it a buck. We know what it means when a woman's got tattoos, certain tattoos. If you got like a little something on your wrist or something like that, you got a little symbolic tattoo that, you got a birthday of your dog or something like that. You got a little, which is a dumbass tattoo, but I've seen them. But even that, if you got something like that, that's a bit different. But if you just getting tattoos, they don't really mean nothing. If a woman's getting tattoos, they don't really mean nothing. Or piercings. Men understand, and women do subconsciously also, either consciously or subconsciously. Women understand too, but men understand when a woman does those things, that spells freak. Freak in the sheets. We understand what that means. That represents a good time. Those septum piercings and all that. Piercings in general. I mean, ears is different or whatever, but piercings and stuff, tattoos, especially in certain places on a female body, we understand exactly what that means. We understand that means freak nasty. Especially a tongue ring. If your chick just randomly up and gets a tongue ring, she's already messing with the next nigga. I'll go out on the limb, and I'll just go ahead and say that. I'll put it on out there. If she wants to get a tongue ring, it's time to charge that to the game. And I mean that how I said that. Yes. Especially if it's a damn tongue ring. The other stuff, you can kind of question it a little bit more, but she's trying to get a tongue ring, dude. In the words of Jay-Z, it's over, man. And, if your lady starts getting, piercings and the tattoos, stuff like that, just randomly out of the blue, they understand that represents to dude an open invitation to sexual attraction. That's an open invitation. They're inviting sexual attraction is what I'm trying to say. That's an invitation to be looked at as sexually attractive. Because they know that that's our reaction to it. We understand that, and they know that. So that's an invitation right there. If they start doing stuff like that, especially if it's in, she gets a tattoo around her breast, that's basically inviting other dudes to say, you can look at this. You can look at me in that particular kind of manner. Now, when a chick's with a dude and she's really feeling a dude, she don't really put herself out there like that. As a matter of fact, if she's really messing with a dude and fools with him for real, she's trying to be unnoticed as possible. She's trying to be as low key as possible, man. She doesn't want a lot of attention like that. So she's not going to do something like go get a tattoo or get piercings. She's going to avoid that because she don't want a bunch of people looking at her like that. She's got her dude. Real talk. Now, the fifth sign that she's cheating on you is she stops initiating sex just all of a sudden, out of the blue. Now, notice I said initiating sex because despite what you think, women can still have sex with you and have feelings for another person or be cheating on you with another person. They can still do it. 9 times out of 10, it's because you didn't badger them. You know, they're really kind of feeling the next dude. And, you know, their dude is badgering them for sex. He's like, hey, baby, we ain't did it in a while. And he's badgering. So she just kind of sleeps with him to shut his ass up. She's tired of being pestered. So she does what she needs to do to basically shut him up. In that particular instance, the sex for her is more of like a chore. She's like, man, let me just go ahead and do this so I can shut this dude up so I can get back to thinking about old boy. You feel me? Now, notice, yeah, and that's why I said initiating sex. If it's been over a month, screw that. I'll give even literal leeway than that. If it's been over 2 weeks and your woman hasn't initiated sex, there's a damn problem. Now, there are certain circumstances, I get it. But for the most part, if she's healthy and ain't no extenuating circumstances and she hasn't initiated sex in the past 2 weeks, player, you're in trouble. If you've been sitting there and she ain't came up and sat in your lap and started licking on your neck, dude, something's wrong. In 2 weeks, I'll give it 2 weeks. I was going to say a month, but screw that. She needs to show you she still has that raw sexual attraction for you. That's very important that you need to see that from your woman. She needs to demonstrate that on a regular basis, that she's got that raw sexual energy for you. And if she's not coming on to you, man, within the span of 2 weeks, that's a sign of trouble. Now, the last sign I'll say is, and this is probably, again, these are in no order of importance, but I'll say that this is the death knell to the relationship if she exhibits this type of behavior I'm about to name. But the sixth sign is she says, I need some time for myself. Now, fellas, I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you've been in a long-term relationship with somebody. I don't care if you're still in the dating phase. You haven't really made it official yet. When a woman says, I need some time for myself, it's over. Not only does it mean that she's pursuing other options, because she's not going to just end it with you and then just go be by herself. Women don't operate like that. Women are never single. Ever. So don't think she's just going to go be single and actually go take some time for herself and go meditate. And I mean, she might for like a week, but that's it. Ain't going to be no long-term thing where she's just not going to be seeing other dudes, man. That's just, women don't work like that. If she says, I need some time for myself, that means she's already messing with the next dude. That means she's already pursuing that. She's already in the process of pursuing that. So not only does it mean that it's over, she's already in the process of pursuing that. All you need to do is just get ready for that message that's going to come through. I've seen it a million times. I've heard it from a million other people, especially dudes, when their woman tells them that. Men really don't use that, not as much anymore. Back in the 90s and the 2000s, men used to say, I just need some time to think for myself. But now women are the main ones who use that line now. Women have to kind of move in a different way when it comes to breaking up with men, because deep down inside, they understand a man has the power to knock their head off. So subconsciously they deal with us in a different way. They're not just going to come, like for instance, I told you earlier, they're not just going to come out and say, hey, I need you to, I wish you were more like that guy that I'm showing admiration to. They know they can't come out and say things like that. And of course, I would never hit a woman, and I'm not advocating for men to put their hands on females like that. But I'm just saying, a lot of guys question, why don't women just kind of say what they're really feeling and say what's on their mind and just really kind of be upfront with it? Because guys do. Guys typically, when we break up with women, we typically let them know why we're breaking up with them. We don't just say, hey, like in that article I read, where she just kind of was like, I don't really see a connection. Dudes will kind of let you know why. And, we get frustrated as men because women will just stop fooling with you or just stop messing with you. They don't explain why. They're just like, oh, I'm just not happy. They give you these real vague rationales as to why they don't want to mess with you no more. But dudes will kind of let you know. You feel me? We'll be a little bit more blunt about that type of thing. But that whole I need time for myself thing, what she's really trying to tell you is, I'm just trying to cushion the blow for what's coming. I'm trying to cushion the blow for what's coming, and she's not doing it for you. She's doing it more for herself in that regard. She's cushioning the blow for herself. She needs time to get mentally ready to basically charge you to the game. And she's mentally getting ready to be like, screw your feelings. I'm about me. I don't give a damn about what happens to you. She's basically getting mentally ready to be a bitch to you. She needs time to prepare for that. She needs time to, and you saw what that, I think I read that part, but basically the lady was saying in the article I read that I spent like an hour crafting a way where, I could say that I really wasn't trying to have anything further to do with this guy. I believe her when she said that. Women do that. They need time to basically come and shit on you emotionally. And they need time to accept that they're going to essentially crap all over you. They need time to accept that. I know I'm going to devastate this dude. I understand. I know I'm going to do this to this dude, but hey, damn, his feeling it's about my happiness. That's what I need some time for myself really means. It either means that or, look, man, I'm really trying to spend some time with this dude I'm interested in now, and you messing the game up. You're messing with my conscience. I know what I'm doing to you is wrong. I know I'm screwing you over. I don't need to be looking at you every day to feel guilty about what I'm doing. So let me go ahead and disappear for a month. And let me make sure I got it popping with this new dude before I leave you. Because, if things don't work out with this new nigga, I want to be able to come back. That's what I need some time for myself means. Fellas, if your lady tells you that, charge her to the game. Now, I should, disclaimer, I should say every now and then in a relationship, we need, you need time away from each other. I'm not saying that, if your lady says, hey, I need to go, I want to go clear my head for a while or whatever. Just, if you're seeing the sixth sign in addition to the other signs that I named, then that's a red flag. But every so often, for instance, I need to get away from my lady sometimes. I'm like, hey, I need to go to the bar or whatever. I need to just chill. I need to go watch sports. I need to go to the man cave and do my thing. That's taking a break from the other person. In no circumstances or in no cases is it cool to take a break from a committed relationship. Because you essentially are, what relationships are is basically practice for marriage. That's essentially what relationships are. If you need to take a break away from a committed relationship and from being around somebody for an extended period of time, what's to say that you're not going to do that in the marriage? The whole definition of being in a committed relationship is that you literally are together with each other majority of the time. Or you're communicating the majority of the time. Or you're reforming the connection with each other on a daily basis, whether that be verbally or physically or whatever. There are no breaks from that. You don't get to take breaks away from a relationship. That's not how relationships work. You dig? So if she's saying that to you, and she comes to you with that, man, you just tell her, look, I don't take breaks from relationships, and I'm not going to allow the person I'm dealing with to take breaks either. So if you're going to need to go ahead and charge this situation to the game, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you go away, and I'm going to let you charge it to the game, but you're not coming back, and I don't take breaks from relationships. You got to be bold just like that, and you got to stand on your square, fellas. Don't ever, 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 ever accept that I need some time for myself. And that's why I wanted to put this one last so I could hit home. Never, ever, ever accept that. If she's saying I need some time for myself, okay, well, it's about to be some permanent time to yourself away from me. Never accept that. Anyways, that's been this edition of the Levels of Love podcast. I hope I was able to give some good game to the fellas. I hope I was able to kind of give some insight on how women think and why they do what they do and how they do what they do, so that you're not confused going into future situations. Because again, you know, I've said this in previous podcasts, man, your time is very valuable, man. That's the most valuable commodity that you have, is your time. And you need to learn to recognize certain signs so that you can make proper decisions as quickly as humanly possible, so that you're not wasting your time and energy on people who are not really down with you and who don't want to be in something for the rest of your life with you. So you need to be able to properly make those decisions as quickly as possible, so that you can move on with your life and so that you can go be with the person that you were meant to be with. But in any case, I thank you all for listening, man. It's been a blast. I've missed doing these so much. I've been doing them weekly, man. I love chopping up game with the family, but I also do them for me, man. It's just fun doing them, man. I love doing podcasts. It's just kind of like a cool thing to kind of break the monotony, because I write books and stuff, and it's cool to break the monotony from writing and just do something where I'm just communicating with the community, for a lack of better words. But in any case, feel free to check out my website, rootofalllove.com. Feel free to check out my YouTube. That's where a lot of my literary art is, because I do my shorts on there for my poetry and stuff too. So that's where you can check out that. I'm on all the podcast streaming sites. So if for whatever reason you're having to listen to this podcast on a site you don't normally do, or that you're not really comfortable with, I'm on all of them now. I found a way to get it on Pandora and Apple finally. It was a very complicated process, but I'm on Apple and Pandora now, so feel free to look me up. It's been real, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll join me next week. I haven't really decided the topic yet, but it might be related to this one, man. I feel like I need to go a little bit deeper in terms of infidelity, so I might do something related to that. But in any case, I hope y'all have a prosperous and positive week. Y'all be good out there. Y'all be safe. If you have any relationship questions, reach out to me at thelevelsoflove@gmail.com or tsp@thestormypoet.com. I respond to both of those inboxes. Feel free to hit me with your relationship questions. With that said, I'll catch you all on the flip side. Y'all take care of yourselves. Peace.